Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Mark Singer, who's the president of Safe Harbor Retirement Planning. Mark, welcome to the program.
Mike, thanks for having me on.
Hey, so I want to talk to you today about, of course, that R word, retirement, and P word, planning, that a lot of times people put off way too late. So hopefully we can make some points that'll make someone sit back and go, maybe we should start a little earlier than what we had thought of. But give us a little bit of background on yourself and then what you've been up to here. Now we want to talk about post-pandemic, which we're still dealing with it at the point of this recording, but there are some things that we can be doing now that people are starting to get their feet back under them and make some good, wise, solid financial moves.
So I've been doing this for 32 years, and I love it. I actually, when I was in my 20s, many, many moons ago, I hired a financial planner. And I didn't have any money at the time, really. I just wanted to know, that old phrase, I wanted to know what I didn't know. Yeah. And I wanted somebody to just tell me what I needed to do, how I needed to think about it. What's the track? I want to learn from those who have made mistakes before and try to avoid some of those landmines. Yeah. So 32 years now, I just love the relationships I have with my clients. We really do focus in on the planning. I say this all the time. I think our industry, the financial services industry, has done it wrong. And has done it wrong with regards to the messaging that we send out to people. Because almost everywhere you look, it's about how much money can you make? What are the returns? Yeah. Let's jump on to GameStop and Bitcoin, and, all these things that can make us instant millionaires because, of course, everybody's making money. I heard that just the other day. I was talking to a client of mine for our semi-annual review, and she says, Mark, I've heard from lots of people that they made more than 100% last year. Whoa. It sort of reminded me of my father when he was a travel agent. It was either too sunny or not sunny enough. He could never win, right? So when we dug deep into it, what she realized was, there were some people and there are some headlines that indicate, all the investing stuff, but our industry focuses way too much on the investments, on the short-term gains, without telling you what the risks or losses might be, and without telling you what you need to do long-term in terms of putting yourself in a position to retire.
Well, I really love that you start off with that, and I also love that the name of your company resonates right with what you said, Safe Harbor, not exponential return harbor, right? So it reminds me of a story. I don't even know where I heard it and what it really applied to, but maybe you've heard a variation of this. There's this rich little old lady that wanted a chauffeur, so she started interviewing and test driving chauffeurs, and she would take them up to these mountain passes and say, whoever can get closest to the edge will be able to be my chauffeur and make all this money, and it's prestigious. And so the first person gets 2 feet away, the second person 1 foot away, the second person 6 inches away, and then the other person gets 10 feet away, and she goes, you're hired. I don't want to have the risk of going over the edge. I want you to be safe. And to your point, it doesn't matter about these mega returns, because let's get the real story. How much can we protect what you have, because you've earned over the years this nest egg, and then let's make some wise moves to make the gains in a logical way. But that is the mindset that I really think that people need to keep in mind. Great point.
And I think there's also a different perspective. I've learned this over the years. I learned probably as much from my clients and the way they think about things as hopefully they learn from me. And there was a very interesting study that really, to me, really nailed it. And they did a study on those people who had $500,000 of assets, investable assets. And the question was, do you think you have enough to retire? And the answer was, the predominant answer was no. They said, okay, follow-up question. How much do you think you need in order to retire? And the answer came in somewhere around $1 million. And then they went to the folks with $1 million. And they asked them, do you think you have enough to retire?
No.
And the answer was no.
Yeah.
Well, how much do you think you need? And the answer was somewhere in the vicinity of $2.4 million. So they went to those people with $2 million. You know the answer. They said no. And their follow-up answer was they thought they needed $5 million. So if we can get away from this, let's just focus on money, because we don't even know how to internalize what it means to have $500,000, $1 million, or $2 million, because we don't really know what that amount of money will do for us.
Because it's numbers on a piece of paper.
Right. Shouldn't we step back and start with our goals, our planning? What cash flow do we need? What risk do we need to take? What's our family situation? How do I want to? What do I want to do in retirement? Am I going to go work, volunteer, travel? Do I have to work? What kind of risk do I need to take on my portfolio in order to generate the income that I need? And that's the question nobody gets. So here's the deal. So when the markets are going up like this, everybody's smiling. And by the way, in the post-pandemic world, isn't it nice to actually see a smile?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. One of my kids the other last night was talking about someone that they've met about 4 months ago, of course, with mask, and then saw them yesterday for the first time without mask. It's like, oh my word, I never would have imagined that But seeing a smile, having something to smile about, and then actually seeing that smile.
Yep, isn't it great? So, we need to understand what retirement is going to be. So if the market, by the way, everybody's smiling, market's been going up for numbers of years, forget the short-term blips. We've had quite a run, okay? So, but what happens when you go into retirement and you need to take income from the portfolio, which most people do, because there's no such thing for most people, unless you're a municipal worker, as a pension. So many people beyond their Social Security have to take money from their portfolio. Well, do you know that if the market is going down, and yes, we are going to face a time where it's going to go down for more than 10 minutes, okay? So when it goes down and you are taking money from the portfolio because you need it, it makes it a double whammy. It is very difficult, and was very difficult, for those people who retired in 2006, 7, 8 to overcome what happened then. It was very difficult for those who retired in the late 90s when the market went down for 3 straight years in 2000, 2001, and 2002. Many people did not overcome that market decline. You are the most financially vulnerable as soon as you retire, because now you're dependent upon the market and the income from it. So you need to really sort this all out and work it out. In other words, do the planning and not just rely on, this market is going to go up all the time, or my house values. I'm in Boston. I don't know about you, but house values are skyrocketed because people are, wanting to get out of the city and come up to the suburbs. And my goodness, I can't believe what people would pay for my house right now.
Right.
But it isn't going to always be that way. Sometimes it goes down. But timing is everything, and you need to plan for that.
You bring up an interesting point about, kind of that nebulous, what's retirement going to look like. And I think that one factor that people don't take into consideration is lifestyle. Like for instance, if the old proverbial bucket with the holes in it, we need to put money in, which is the water, and we need to plug the holes, which is expenses. Well, first of all, the planning aspect that we had alluded to, let's make sure that you don't have a huge amount of expenses / debt going into retirement, so that whatever income we have to work with, Social Security, retirement pension, whatever, is not flying out with bad debt, monthly payment expenses. But what about then the lifestyle? Some people envision, I want to sit around and do nothing / go play golf all day and that's going to be fine for about 2.5, 3 months until you get bored. And maybe then you need to turn that creative desire into something. Maybe it's going to be, spending time with family or volunteering, all of that. But what will that look like? And does that involve traveling, which now incurs more expenses? So I think that having that conversation with the financial professional like yourself is way more than just pulling out my statements and my forms and my numbers, but now tying that into, if I was retired tomorrow morning, what does that next day look like? What am I going to want to be doing for that week, that month, and how then does that impact my money, right?
So we have 2 essential conversations with our clients addressing the 2 major fears people have as they transition into retirement. The first one, and we see it all over, the headlines, I don't want to outlive my money in retirement. By the way, that's the title of my latest book. So, and that comes to the planning, that comes to the numbers, that comes to the statements. Which of the 567 different Social Security claiming strategies are you going to need? How much risk do you want to take? Blah, blah, blah. But the other one, believe it or not, is even more important. And the other one addresses the question, well, what am I going to do the rest of my life? Okay? Now, I have clients, one in particular, they have, and I'll put it in air quotation marks, only $300,000 in total investments, okay? Right. That's not a lot of money, all right?
Yep.
I have clients who have $5, $8, $10 million. Now, let me tell you the difference. The client I'm referencing who has only $300,000 is as happy as a clam. They are meeting all of their needs. They're doing everything they want to do. They've got family and grandkids in the area when they want to. They travel a little bit. But based on their needs and their goals, they can sustain their retirement lifestyle with $300,000. Now, I've got a client with about $5 million. He can't figure out how to gain some fulfillment and happiness in retirement. Yeah. It is not about how much money you have, though he hopefully, he'll understand he's not going to outlive his money, but he's always questioning that. But really diving into those 2 essential questions, how to structure your finances and how to structure your life so the next chapter is fulfilling. Those are the 2 big questions you need to be asking, not just of your financial planner, but you need to be having this conversation with your spouse as well.
Yeah. And you know what? I would even say with yourself, because I think that you've probably asked a client, what do you want in retirement? And maybe some people are scratching their heads going, I don't know.
Well, it's funny because, travel does come up a lot, right? But how much can you travel? Golf comes up a lot. Yep. I'm a golfer, but I certainly can't play more than 3 days a week. I'd go nuts.
Yeah.
I do have one client, by the way. He's very successfully retired in Florida, and he does spend every day on the beach, and that's all he wants to do. Okay. God bless him, right? Yeah. It wouldn't float my boat, and it wouldn't float most of my clients' boats. So another friend of mine, he's in Scottsdale. He recently sold his business. He has more money than he really needs, and he calls me up probably 2 or 3 times a week at about 10 to 10:30 in the morning and says, all right, what am I going to do next? Because he doesn't have family. He doesn't have kids. He doesn't have hobbies outside of showing his Corvette every once in a while. So those are the 2 essential questions. And, as a result of writing the book, one of the things we really honed in on is whether or not you're prepared for retirement. And if your listeners want to take a quick 2-minute quiz, just invest 2 minutes in yourself. Go to www.retirenowquiz.com. That's retirenowquiz.com. You'll fill out the questionnaire. It's very short. I will then score it for you and tell you which one of the 3 stages of retirement preparedness you're in. And I'll also, by the way, send you a free chapter of the book and 2 worksheets to try to give you some more clarity as to whether or not you're on track to have a successful retirement.
That is awesome. And, I think we could continue on with so many, if this, then that, but we've just really hit on some really powerful concepts from knowing what you want, factoring in your lifestyle, the fears of retirement, and making sure that there's safety in your expectations and the advisor you work with. I just absolutely love that approach, Mark. And I'm going to make sure that retirenowquiz.com is in our show notes. But on your main website, 55retire.com, I know that you've got some other resources. So let's wrap up with what are some other things that people could learn from your website.
Yeah, so what we have is a unique 7-step process that we walk our clients through. And we start with, what is your need for cash flow? What are your goals? Which of the 567 different Social Security strategies are you going to take? How do you structure a portfolio? What do you do with the rest of your life? How do you take care of your surviving spouse, by the way, which is a big issue? And we've got very short 2 to 3 minute videos on the website addressing each of these questions to try to give you some insight in terms of how you should be taking a look at each and every one of these steps.
I love it. Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming on today. It's really a pleasure talking with you and really learning about your safe approach to retirement strategy. So thank you so much, and I encourage everyone to take that quiz, pick up a copy of or the first chapter of your upcoming book, and wish you all the best. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mike.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneurssradio.com.